Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends. In this episode we are going to be talking about support monsters. They are a type of monster in Monster Legends, right? We have our controllers, we have our attackers, while support monsters are another category that is super important and super vital to the game. Now, unlike with deniers that you can identify by the monsters that are fast, and unlike attackers that you can identify with monsters that have a power stat, there's not really a stat that really identifies whether a monster is a support monster. In order to figure out if a monster is a support monster is by looking at their skills. Now, this just so happens to have a lot of light monsters because, I mean, when you think of light, you typically think of support. So I'm going to use that, but this is not to say only light monsters have support. There's support in every single element nowadays, and as mythic monsters get released, we'll definitely be seeing more of them. But yeah, I'm just going to focus on legendaries right now. So you can identify a support monster, and again, it's very possible that monsters can occupy different areas. Like, there can be a monster that denies and supports and is an attacker. There can be a monster that is primarily a support. There's a monster that can be both an attacker and a support. But the important thing is to identify when a monster can occupy a specific role. In this case, War Master Elvira is a good case because I mentioned this in the previous video. Repent Sinner deals massive light damage. Hey, you probably want to run her as an attacker. Well, that's fine and all, but she also has support skills, so let's talk about some of those support skills. You can identify support skills typically when they target your whole team, right? It's a support monster, they're there to support your team, so a lot of times support monsters will have skills that say multiple allies. Now, what you want out of a support monster typically is at least one skill that removes negative effects from your team. That is like the best thing you can do for your team. So, take a look at Elvira. Aurora of Wrath removes all negative effects from all allies, applies a damage boost to all allies. Aurora of Forgiveness removes negative effects from all allies, heals by 50%. The reason you want a monster that is supportive and can remove negative effects is because there is so much the enemy can do to you. They can deny you. They can apply control skills on you, right? Possession, freeze, stun, everything we learned from the first episode. They can total blind you. They can damage reduction you. They can apply torture skills against you. Torture skills will drain your HP. They can apply reverse healing. Instead of healing, you'll lose HP. It's terrible. So having some sort of skill that can remove negative effects is amazing. On top of that, you want your support monsters to be able to maybe buff your attacker, and War Master Elvira can do that with a damage boost to her whole entire team. Or you want your support monsters to be able to heal you in case you've taken a lot of damage. Look, this heals by 50%. It's amazing. Going through some other skills, let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Words Won't Save You. Even though this skill deals very heavy light damage and is indicative of an attacker, take a look. It also applies a 50% damage protection to all of your allies. So this means instead of taking the full damage, you'll only absorb 50% of the damage. That's a great support skill. Aura of Trust, another skill that removes negative effects from your whole team, and this one it gives you increased accuracy. Yes, you want increased accuracy so your attacks can actually land. And then looking through some other skills, there we go. Applies a photophobic shield to an ally. This makes so you can only be damaged by skills of the light element. Imagine you're facing an earth monster, a fire monster, and a dark monster. Literally, they will not be able to touch you thanks to the photophobic shield. So that's how you identify a support monster. Here, let's take a look at Rossigon over here. Go to skills and Charge with Resonance. Removes all negative effects. Hey, I talked about that. From one ally and restores the cooldown. Very nice. Typically, a monster that has a cooldown active, that tends to be the best skill, so it's nice that you're able to use it again. Deals moderate light damage to an enemy, removes all negative effects from all allies. You see the pattern there, how support monsters have that key removes negative effects? And then, let's see, applies double damage. Remember I mentioned you want to be able to buff your attacker. Applies damage boost to all allies. So again, a support monster typically has those kinds of skills. Now, a lot of times those skills don't do any damage because they're ally skills. Another thing a support monster does is, and we saw it right here with They Are Not Giants, a lot of times your support monsters should also be able to remove positive effects from the enemy team, because the enemy will typically also apply positive effects on themselves, right? They also want to buff themselves, they also want to give themselves immunity to torture, immunity to this and that. So having a skill that can remove positive effects from the enemy, it is super useful. So that's where you have They Are Not Giants. That's also where you have, let's see if we have another one, removes all negative effects from all allies. Nope, more of that team building skill. Scrolling up, you also want, if you can, on a support monster to be able to apply something that makes it less likely for the enemy to land attacks against you. So something like blinding, dazing, that's pretty supportive, right? He's like yes, this deals moderate light damage, but you're not after the damage, you're after the effect. You want to land that daze on the enemy. You want to prevent them from attacking you. So it's always nice when a support monster has a skill that reduces your accuracy. Even better when a support monster has a skill that can immobilize the enemy. Like, if this monster could stun, oh, that'd be so great. If Rossi God could also stun the enemy, that'd be fantastic. But let's take a look at Wormlad. Wormlad is the jack of all trades. He can literally support or attack. One of the best, most phenomenal skills I've seen on a support monster, Restore the Dream. This skill will cleanse completely, and you'll give your monster increased accuracy, and you get life regen. So you get a lot in this one singular skill. And take a look at Despicable Beans. This skill will remove positive effects from the enemy. It'll also apply damage reduction, major damage reduction, that is a 50% damage reduction, and you will also block positive effects. So now the enemy can't reapply positive effects. That's awesome. And look at this skill right here. This skill removes positive effects twice and it applies Sunburn. This is a resurrection skill. So even if you lose an ally, you can resurrect. So he also has skills that are more attack, more offense based, but then this skill set right here is more of a supportive role. Now you probably noticed something when you saw those monsters with the exception of Elvira. Support monsters typically do not run speed, like singular speed. Typically they do not run strength. Again, Elvira just had it run differently for a specific reason. Typically support monsters run, you guessed it, team speed. Or sometimes they will run a single speed or two. It really depends on the scenario and the team dynamic. The reason I have Wormlad right now running with two speed runes is just because I'm running with mythics. But Rossi God, this is normally what you do, because typically you'd have a main deny monster go first in the turn order, so you don't need your support monster going first. Wormlad is an exception because one important thing to look at your support monsters is their traits. So this monster having dodge area, if you're ever in a situation where the enemy goes first and does an AoE stun, well, Wormlad thinks to dodge area. Well, we'll use a different example. Let's say the enemy does an AoE freeze. You can actually rune Wormlad to go first in the turn order, so make him go before your own deny monster. And because you have the trait dodge area, you will not get hit with the AoE skill. Well, then you can just restore the dream, and then next in the turn order is going to be your denier, and your denier is going to be free to deny. So, like always, you have to be looking at the traits. You have to be looking at what is the best, how can I counter the enemy, what can I do. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into this when deciding on how you're going to run your support monster, where you're going to put them. But typically you are going to be running team speed. Watch, let me just scroll through some of my monsters and let's see if we can identify. Look at Warmaster Ragnarök. He can fill so many roles, but when you look at his skill set, let's actually click on him. When you look at his skill set, look at this. No more failures. This skill removes negative effects, gives 100% life and stamina. That is as supportive as it comes. Archangel's Blessing. This skill heals allies by 30% and removes negative effects, as supportive as it comes. And if one of my allies dies, I can resurrect and give him a damage boost. That's awesome. And then, again, your support monster is not there to deal damage, so they're not going to be rock and strength runes. They're not going to have a strong attack that deals damage. But sometimes, look at this, removes 75% of total life. That is amazing. Even though he's a support monster, if I need him to dish out damage, I can just take away a giant chunk of an enemy monster's life. Now, again, this monster in particular has the capability to do other stuff. If I want to, I can run this skill. Life regen, 100% damage meter, that's awesome. So a lot of times monsters can do different things. But yeah, typically, as you saw, team speed on him. Let's scroll down, let's see who else I can find rocking a lot of team speed. Nasia is another one that is more of a team speed holder. Let's keep scrolling down. There's my Rossi. Let's scroll down. Let's see what we can find. And let's see. It's funny, a lot of my monsters that are not support are running team speed just because I've been swapping runes around. Oh, it's funny, I actually don't have as many support monsters as I thought. Yamada's a support monster, there we go. I haven't used him in a long time, but if we go to skills, deals heavy fire damage, applies double healing and damage boost. Alright. Applies evasion, heals all allies by 30%. Applies evasion to itself, applies life regen. Very nice. Please focus, removes all negative effects and applies precision. So see, you can typically tell, well, not you can typically tell, the kind of runes you want to give a support monster is really more of that, more of that team speed because you don't need them to go first. And I guess what I should mention is, I don't know, did I mention this? I guess we'll find out right now. So the relics, a lot of times, if you're trying to figure out, like, even though you can't tell by stats, this is not 100%, but sometimes with support monsters you can tell, because if you notice right now, all these monsters who are supportive, look, they can hold, bam, right here, the essence. A lot of time the essence relics, they tend to involve healing your team. When the turn ends, if the wearer's life is below 50%, all allies are healed. When the wearer dies, all allies are healed. When the turn ends, if any ally's life is below 50, it is healed. So a lot of the relics, Great Healing Essence, they focus on healing. So typically support monsters will be able to hold the Essence Relic. They'll also a lot of time be able to hold the Amulets, because also the Amulet Relic involves a lot of times with healing. So take a look. Altus' Amulet, when the turn starts, if the wearer's life is below 50%, heals wearer by 62,000 points. So again, this is not always, but a lot of times for sure, definitely the Essence Relic is an indication that it's more of a supportive monster. Watch. Let's see. Remember I mentioned Nazai was actually supportive? There's that healing, there's that amulet. Let's just scroll down to a random monster. Let's see what we find. I'm not seeing the essence. Uglug is, nope. That sword relic, remember from the last video, that's indicative of an attacker. Let's scroll down, lots of sword relics. Where is that essence? Ah, there's an essence right there. Mystery. Mystery is actually more of a denier. So yeah, possession. So not a good example for that one. But yeah, like I said, it's not always gonna work. But sometimes if you see that essence, you might be thinking, oh, support monster. And that's the first clue, right? Then you have to look in the skill set and then dive in deep and see, is this a support monster? Is this not a support monster? And let's see. Oh, Cloud is a good example, right? There's that essence relic. Let's analyze them. Skills. Change skills. Battle Tiger deals massive special damage, may stun. Okay. Right now I'm thinking attacker because massive damage and stun, maybe deny. Trained Beast applies 50% shield to our allies, removes negative effects. Hey, supportive skill right there. Charge with me applies double damage, precision, extra turn to an ally. What? Turn transfer, immediate extra turn? Ooh, my attacker's gonna love this. 2 skills that don't deal damage. Okay, supportive. Pack Protector applies 75% life shield. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. He can absorb attacks. See, indicative of a supporter, but also being able to attack, right? Massive special damage. Right here, hot-headed, very heavy light damage. Another stun skill. Cringer Memories applies light protection and special protection. Another supportive skill. So like I said, a lot of times monsters can occupy more than one area. They can be an attacker, they can be a deny, they can be a supporter, they can be a torture dealer, they can be a lot of things. But these are just some indications of a support monster and how to effectively use a support monster. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think the next thing to talk about are tanks. So if you are interested to learn about tanks, definitely be sure to stay tuned. So for now, just remember to subscribe.